she take give you the jam and you dance. Back it up. This is a hot girl carnival. We got the wickedest bumper, and that's why you got to please me. You got to know what you're doing in order to lead me. You should the rough wine, no love.
All right, everybody. So the Red Woman Tour is underway, everybody. And we do have in studio this morning comedian Cindy Ann Boisson. All right, so she's here to tell us all about the Red Woman Tour. I suspect the Red Woman is Cindy Ann, eh? Not so, Cindy Ann?
Yes, good assumption. That's a good assumption.
Yeah, it was quite analytical. I thought, yeah, to sum it up that way. So, Cindy Ann, let's, because I'm sure that a lot of people would be familiar with you and your comedy. Mm-hmm. I have been looking at some of the clips that you would put out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. So I'm familiar with it, but tell us a little bit about you now and how you got into comedy.
All right, well, I'm from Trinidad.
Yeah.
My both parents are from Paramin, so I am a Paramin girl and a Red Woman.
Yeah.
And so I got into comedy when my son left for college.
Yeah.
I always liked it. I did work here before I left. Mm-hmm. Like I was in a play with Errol Fabian and Sprang like in 2009, I think. And we moved to Florida because of my son wanting to go to swim and stuff. And when he left, I was like, okay, time for me to focus on myself. And I've told this story a million times.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what do I do? I started comedy. I did a course because I wasn't sure if...
You did a course?
Yeah, I did.
On comedy?
Yes, I did a stand-up comedy. I did a stand-up comedy workshop, a class for 6 weeks. And at the end of the 6 weeks, you graduate in front of your friends and family and, you know.
Right.
And I did that not because I didn't think I was funny. I wasn't sure that my accent would translate.
Yes.
You know, and I just wanted to get a feel for it. And I fell deeply in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me touch on that point because judging from the clips that I would have seen, it is to a U.S. audience.
Yes.
And I think that some people would have thought that the audience would not understand, one, the way that you speak, so the dialect, mm-hmm. And in some cases, the culture of Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that you have been very successful in having them understand Trinidad and Tobago, its culture, and even your dialect.
Yeah, yeah, because, you know, when I started, I was a little unsure, trying to find my voice and thinking that maybe I needed to be somebody else.
Right.
And so I went through that period of, I don't know if they would understand, but I've been doing it for 10 years. And I only perform for Americans, and I feel this is a good opportunity for me to educate people about Trinidad and Tobago, about who we are, and also do a sort of comparison about culturally what makes us different, what makes us the same. So it's been a really interesting journey. One of the really interesting things I love is I did a joke a few years ago talking about coming home and forgetting to say good morning.
Yes.
And a lot of my comedy friends now, when they text me, and they would say, hey, Cindy Ann, and then they would say, oh, sorry, good morning.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and that's good because so many people, believe it or not, know very little to nothing about Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. We'll speak a little bit more about that, but let's get to this Red Woman Tour. Yes, you're a Red Woman, but why the Red Woman Tour? What do you want people to know about this Red Woman Tour and the Red Woman?
Okay. So the Red Woman Tour is a love affair between Cindy Ann and Cindy Ann.
Okay.
And it came about where I came back home in 2022 and did a show and felt completely disconnected because I hadn't been home since before the pandemic.
Right.
And so there were so many things happening in the world, the Black Lives Matter movement, particularly. And so there was a deep sense of, well, I mean, I had to do like stand up for black rights. And it sounds weird to even say, it's not that I don't know I am black, But living in Trinidad for most of my life, I had never been called black, ever.
Yeah.
Nobody, you know?
Yeah.
And so being in a space where people were like, okay, well, you're black. And I'm like, the first time I heard it, it jolted. I was like, oh, yeah, I am. But I never heard it. So those couple years of the black movement, and so am I even red anymore?
Yeah.
And so you sort of distance yourself from that part of you, and it didn't serve me well. I came back home and I just felt so disconnected. I'm like, well, because I'm black and and the truth is, both things can be the same.
Yeah.
I am black, but I'm also a red woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like a red woman is not a race, it's a character trait. So, and it's something that's part of me that I shouldn't be pressured or feel that I need to disconnect myself from being a red woman. Yeah, and so that's what the Red Woman tour is about, is really a rediscovery of a red woman. Where want me to tell you? Yes, you know, and we was on our
But
old
isn't
car.
it a term of endearment?
I think so. Well, it depends.
Well, yeah.
It depends, you know.
You
We
know what they
was
say
on our
about
old
red
car.
woman?
We was on our old car, you know what I mean? I've seen it and heard it all. But that's what it is really, what the tour is about. It's a love affair and a love letter to myself.
Yeah.
As a Trinidadian red woman.
Yeah. So the tour began last night.
Last night.
Mhm.
And
Well, how was it?
Oh, it was so good. It really was. It was a very intimate setting. I felt, at first it was nerve-wracking for me, but I had two local comedians open the show, Kwame Weeks and Jerome Richardson. And let me tell you, these guys are doing the work. They were amazing, you know, and so I didn't have to get on stage and dig us, because they already set the standard for the night. People were in a good mood, and so it just flowed. It was really wonderful last night.
Yeah. So is it that, because, studio, could you pull up the flyer for us again? Yeah, so you have a performance tonight?
Tonight at the Bricks, 7:30 p.m., call 612-4000. You make your reservations and you pay at the door. And they can expect the same thing. The same two guys, myself. We actually have a panelist this time at the Bricks, at the entrance. He'll be, you know, entertaining just before the show. But it's the same format, you know, Kwame, Jerome, and then myself.
Yeah. You have any other shows coming up for this period here? We just have a few days before Carnival. Anything that you're planning?
While I'm here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show up at Fatima Fete and show up. I mean, you know, and show off. That's the only other show I have in mind, Fatima Fete.
Yeah, but no other performance
No.
by you except for tonight.
I wasn't even planning these shows at all. This is something, that's what I call pop-up. You know, Kwame planted a seed and we decided to run with it, and this was the birth of the pop-up comedy show.
Yeah. Let's talk about your type of comedy. If you had to classify it, if you had to describe it, how would you describe it to our viewers this morning?
I would say a little dark,
Yeah.
observational, and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I have seen, as I said, some of the snippets that Cindy Ann would have put up. Cindy Ann is very, very funny. But let me also tell you something. Sometimes she calls on people in the audience, and she observes you in the audience, and all of a sudden, you, as a patron, you're going to the show, and all of a sudden you're a part of the show. So look out for things like that. But you know what? It adds to the show, I think.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It's not something that, because people are like, I don't want to sit in the front because they heckle you.
Yeah.
And it's not like anybody's trying to pick on you generally. You know, we're having a good time, and sometimes I may say something and I may say, let's just say I have a son. I would say, do you have any kids?
Yeah.
And so we have a nice, easy banter that takes place, and usually people are receptive because they're happy to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
So once you don't attack people and you don't try to embarrass them, or, you know, like last night we had some people in the front, and the show just flowed very nicely because they took part in it, and it was really nice. So it's not a heckle, it's not an attack,
Yeah.
But like you said, it adds a little flavor to the show.
It does.
When people are receptive and they're not like, don't talk to me, or because it's not, the intention is not to make you uncomfortable. It's really for us to have a good time.
To vibe.
To vibe, to
Yeah.
lime.
Yeah, to line.
Yeah.
What is the, because let me tell you, I believe Sprang used to say that comedy is serious business.
It is.
And comedians here and abroad, they believe in certain things, serious issues. What's the main objective, if I can put it that way, that you want to achieve as a comedian?
I love that question, Marlon. I think for me, mental health and just being able to be honest, because people feel the need to, apart from mental health, motherhood, marriage, life on the whole, particularly women, I think we feel a pressure to keep it together or to appear as if we always have it together. And I'm like, it's not. Marriage is hard. Having kids is difficult. You disappoint your children, they disappoint you. Let's talk about it and laugh about it. And celebrate when the children leave your house and just be like, thank God they're gone. And be okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's important to be honest, to focus on mental health. My mom was a psychiatric nurse. And oftentimes people, if you say you have anxiety or depression, they're like, girl, you need a good carnival fete, or you need, why don't you just go maracas? And we make light of it, which is fine, but address it, you know? Like, I am seeing a psychiatrist. I would not have admitted to that years ago. I probably would not have even gone. But now I have found one that I really like, because she's just as messed up as me.
Yeah.
And so we put, we feeding
I do
off of each
understand.
other and healing, and I think that's so important. And so I would say that's my thing, to just make life real and funny.
Yeah. Let's put up the flyer again so you can see Cindy Ann Boisson, the
Yes.
Red Woman Tour. She's going to be there at the Bricks Hotel tonight. What time?
7:30. Show starts at 7:30. Doors
Yeah.
open at 6:30, I think. But they
Yeah.
can call 612-4000, reserve your tickets, and come.
Yeah, Cindy Ann, I just stumbled upon your videos, I believe it was last year, and I thought it was very, very refreshing.
Thank
And
you.
also, thank you for, you know how we are sometimes when we go abroad, and how are you?
Oh, yeah, no.
Right? And I thought that it was very refreshing that you kept that dialect and that you are exposing so many people to our experiences and our culture in Trinidad and Tobago. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you, Marla.
Maybe you could tell a joke about that. when they go up to Marley Street, how the accent changes.
I do, no, but to be honest, I dilute it a bit. I have to. I call it accent reduction. In some shows, I have to, and there's a joke about it. So people could come to the show and I'll tell them
Check
about
it
that.
out tonight.
Yes.
All right? Cindy Ann, bye for now, and wish you all the best on your show tonight and your future endeavors.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me.
All right, we are going to a very short break, everybody. We're coming back.
I don't have no control. What my bumper do, she do. It's not the alcohol, no. That's just how she is, she rude. Don't let me call she to give you the jam and you dancer.